So one interesting thought I have for you is, when you look at the trajectory of what you've done, and you've gone from a place where you felt like you weren't enough. You had an incredible vision. You overrode all the limiting beliefs that your brain kept offering you and all the people who didn't believe in you. And then you come out the other side and you're like victorious and you sell this company. And all of a sudden there had to have been a moment that you were like, look at what I did. Yeah. And there had to have been that moment of just totally feeling so proud of yourself. And then my question is, was there a moment after that where you're like, now what? And was there like I call it a dopamine drop where you're like, but wait, like creating a company, selling a company, like that's not necessarily even my worth. Like, Did you have that downer time after the success story hit? Because I don't think anybody talks about that enough.
Yes. And I'm so glad you're asking this. This question will be life-changing for a lot of people because we're always thinking, once this happens, then I'll be happy.
Yes.
Once this happens, then I'll be happy. Yeah. Then I'll be enough. Then I'll be right. And it's different things for all of us. It could be once I get married, then, or whatever it might be. And when we get there, and when we get that drop after, and when we're like, this didn't feel like how I thought it was going to feel. Yeah. And then we tell ourselves the story, why am I not happy? I must just be ungrateful.
Yeah.
Why didn't this solve all my problems like I thought it was going to?
Yes.
And so then we tell ourselves a new lie, I've got to do more.
Yes.
I've got to do more. So then we go for the next level, the next thing, the next, right? And it's never ending. It never, and there is a moment that I'll share that I didn't understand for a while. And it's literally fueled why I wrote Worthy. Because I was at a moment in my life where I just sold my company for a whole lot of money, which I couldn't. When I was a Denny's waitress, okay, I was happy if someone didn't just throw the dime on the table. Like if I got, you know what I mean?
Like I got a bill.
Yes, I know.
Or a quarter.
I mean, the idea of someone paying $1 billion, I mean, that's just, I can't even.
It's impressive.
And I worked so hard. And I also come from families that worked very, very hard and never had an outcome like that. So it was like, but I was in a moment in my life after I sold my business where, and all these things were happening that the world tells you should make you happy.
Right.
So all of a sudden, Forbes magazine, all these things that were just so cool. I'm like, oh, wow. Television shows, all the things. And a big moment happened that changed everything for me. So growing up, I would watch Oprah in my living room every day. And when I was all alone growing up often, because my parents worked a lot, that was a person that I thought like, oh, wow, she shares her vulnerability. She, all these things. And I was like, I just had this feeling, back to our knowing. I didn't know what it was. Yeah. It made no sense at the time. But I had this feeling I would meet her. I just was like, I'm going to meet her. And one day I'll share other people's stories with the world. And I just kind of always had the idea. So my whole life, I just thought I was going to meet Oprah, which makes no sense. Fast forward now, I've sold my company. I was celebrating my 40th birthday, and I went to a live event that Oprah was putting on. It was a huge event in LA, and it's a long story short, but my assistant had written a letter that I didn't know about that somehow had gotten to her assistant, that somehow had gotten to her. And the odds of that are like 1 in a zillion.
Yeah.
Somehow she read it. Somehow they arranged for me to meet her at this event. And I thought I was going to walk up. So her assistant came up. I didn't know I was going to meet her that day. I didn't even shower. I was so tired that day. I wore a green dress. I had my hair. I was a mess. But anyways, I then find out when I get to the event, oh, you're going to meet Oprah. And I thought like, oh my gosh, like I've dreamed of this my whole life.
Yeah.
I thought I would walk in a big long line to a step and repeat, which is, one of the, for everyone listening who hasn't seen one, it's like, you see those kind of red carpet backgrounds.
Like a meet and greet.
A meet and greet.
Yeah.
And usually when you go to one of those, you meet the person for literally 1 second. Their team yells at you to smile for the camera and keep it moving.
Yeah.
So you got 1 second.
Yeah.
So I was planning this whole morning, okay, I'm going to get 1 second. And what am I going to say? What am I going to say? So then her assistant brings me back to meet her at the lunch break and walks up to the green room. And she's like, she's inside. And I'm like, where's the line? Like, where's the, I was just like, what is happening? And then I was probably out of my body because I was, and so I was with a group of friends and I immediately said, can they come in too? Because I just thought a lot of them had watched her their whole life.
Oh yeah, like let's make this share my victory moment.
Yeah, and so she opens the door. I walk in and Oprah's there all alone in her green room, and she's like, Miss Kern, and I'm like, she knows my name. Like, it's like freaking out. I walked in and we talked for a few minutes. It was lovely. And I'll cut a long story short. Afterwards, I then replay in my head. Did I say the right thing? What did I even say?
I do that all the time.
Like, I should have been so much smarter and funnier and like all this stuff. And so then I'm like, what if that's the only time I meet her in my entire life and I didn't even say anything? And I think I said to her, if I can ever be of service to you, let me know, is what I said. So anyhow, I end up writing a whole email and I send it and I pray that like she gets it. And she did. She invited me to her house for lunch. And there's a big point to this story that I want everyone to hear because it changed my whole life. We had a 3-hour lunch together at her house, just me and her. It went so well. At the end of it, and this is my like childhood hero, like my mentor from afar my whole life, right? At the end of it, Mindy, she says, here's my cell number. Call me anytime. Call me anytime. And this is the point of this that I want everyone to process in their own lives. In that moment in my life, I was on the biggest high of self-confidence. Yeah. I had sold my business for all this money. I was in the magazines, the TV. And Oprah says, call me anytime. I didn't call her for 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
She gave me her number and I did not call her for 4 years.
Yeah.
And
why?
So I thought I knew. I thought it was like, oh, I'm going to wait till I have the right thing to say. That's why I haven't called her. Oh, everyone wants something from her. I want to prove I don't need anything. So I'm just going to make sure she knows I just want an authentic friendship. Like I tell myself all these stories until one day I realized the real reason I hadn't called her was because deep down inside, I did not believe I was worthy of being her friend. Yes. And even though, and this is for everyone listening, I got the thing that I thought would make me happy and fulfilled. I got all these things. What I realized is they build confidence, which confidence is an internal trait, but it's based often on external things that can fluctuate. Confidence is based on, our assessment of our skills and abilities, our willingness to try and go for it, how we stack ourselves up to others. It can fluctuate. It can go up and down. And at the time I had very high confidence, but our self-worth is different. It's our deep internal belief. Are we worthy of love and belonging exactly as we are? Not as we achieve, not as anything else happening around us, but exactly as we are. And in that moment with Oprah, what I learned is I had really high self-confidence. Everything looked the part on the outside, but deep down inside, I felt unworthy, right? Yeah. Right? To use the example you and I were talking about, it's a really famous example in the personal growth space and psychology is like the idea of the thermostat, right? Like when you imagine a thermostat in your home, one of the automatic ones, and let's say you set it at 75, and when things heat up in the room or they're hot outside, it doesn't matter. The thermostat kicks in and cools it to 75. Yeah. Or when stuff's going really wrong and it's down to 60 or 50 and it's freezing, the thermostat heats it up and brings. So the thermostat example, which is iconic in the personal growth space, is a metaphor for your self-worth. Yep. And right now, if you believe your self-worth, that you're worth 75, you can have everything going right. You can get the marriage, the kids, the job, the 6-pack abs, all the things. And outside, it's heating up to like a 80 or a 90 or 100. But you will sabotage things or you will never be happy. Your thermostat will kick into the level of your self-worth back to 75. Right. And so what I did in that moment was not calling Oprah for 4 years was literally me sabotaging an opportunity I didn't believe I was worthy of. And it is the biggest thing that keeps us stuck in life, right? We know our idea is really, really cool and novel, or we know we could write poetry and put it out into the world, or, we love painting, but when we don't think we're worthy of sharing who we are with the world, we'll stay stuck. Yep. We'll stay stuck.
So well said.
And so even after all those things, that is not what brings happiness or fulfillment, right? It's learning to believe you're enough and worthy as you are and raising your own internal self-worth, which is,
So